Hey.
Good morning, Jakes. Welcome to everyone coming in. Welcome to GMSONIC, dude. We're glad to have you here. We got some people coming in from Melbourne, staying up to 3:37 a.m. They want us to tell them when Flying Tulip's going to launch.
That's dedication.
And maybe we will tell them later in the show. You got to stick around to find out.
Yeah, you got to stay till the 59th minute.
Yeah, and you got to share this link like 50 times. Smash that like button.
Real quick, before we do anything else, I think we'll just take a quick look at Bitcoin. Still kind of in the same boat right now.
Scary.
It's the 1 week chart. We're hanging in there. Let's see what Sunday close looks like. It is looking a little scary, but I'm feeling pretty confident we're gonna just stick right around here.
So, I think we're going to continue to range a little bit. I mean, this implies that we got to bounce out of this here on the weekly, right?
Yeah, I think we do have to kind of like we've been like, if you're looking here for a liquidity zone, I'd imagine if we get another leg up, this will be kind of like the new liquidity zone because it's just like we have just been stuck here.
The Milk Road, Benjamin Cowan. I've been watching a lot of these guys lately because I've been looking for a little security blanket. I've been looking for some smart guys to put me at ease. To let me know.
What are they thinking?
They're saying a lot of bullishness still.
Okay.
But reserved. I think Benjamin Cowan is like probably the most reserved, where he's saying like this shit could be played out basically at this point. We could have already peaked, but we also could not have. Here's like the invalidations is if we close below, I believe he said like if we break 110, close like the weekly below 110, bad news. Got to hit 130 if we want to have alt season. Those are kind of like what these learned men are saying. That's the general consensus. Bitcoin, all these guys are saying Bitcoin has to hit 130 before anything else can happen or the party's over.
Which, I mean, I get the idea. I mean, I definitely think that the way things have played out, obviously Bitcoin's already had a pretty like insane run if you look at it. But yeah, I mean, I agree. We got to have something to
maybe not doing him justice, follow. So
yeah. He basically said it's going to go up or it's going to go down. But no, I mean, yeah, I kind of like agree in the sense of like, we got to get out of this. I'm not going to call it hell because are you in hell if Bitcoin's over $100,000? I don't think so. But yeah, we need something here. And I think a lot of this still just rests on the same stuff that's been going on like the whole year. We got tariff uncertainty. We got rate uncertainty. Tons of people with money held up in real estate. I posted an article by Rectimides, which just kind of had like some good points about how some people have a theory that the real thing that drove the last run was not the stimmies, was not that everybody was sitting at home. What really drove the last run was the super low rates that unlocked access to capital in the housing market. And if you look at it from that angle, we're basically like if anything, we're in a more intense situation right now where there's trillions of dollars locked up in real estate. Nobody's buying, nobody's selling, nobody's refinancing, nobody's tapping in to the equity because nobody wants to pay rates when they know they're going to come down eventually. So I tend to like, I kind of lean into that as well, that I think the rate cuts, obviously how it is, like the first rate cut, there was so much anticipation for it and you're waiting and waiting. But then you kind of like read into it and it's like, okay, we had the rate cut, but you still have to wait months for this stuff to really like move the needle. So what we're looking at is with inflation coming in low, a lot of people are signaling that we might get more than a 25 BPS cut. We might get 50. And even then, it's like my horizon is still more of like spring 2026 or something like that, in terms of all these things have to come together for a bunch of capital to get unlocked, They're probably going to put a yes man in for the Fed. It's like I've said before, it'll be good for assets, terrible for the dollar in the long run. But looking at it from a standpoint of our bags and our assets, I still believe we might have something similar to, like I said, I don't think anything will ever compare to what happened during COVID, but it could be something relatively similar.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's a good point about the capital being like locked up in housing, right? Like interest rates are so high, no one's going to refinance. No one really wants to take the equity out. No one wants to take on new debt.
Yeah, I love this from SMU here. He says, imagine a year ago that we'd be panicking because we're at 110,000 Bitcoin. It's like, yeah, I agree. That's been my kind of like thermometer that I always tell people is if Bitcoin's over 100,000, then like a run is not off the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I'm with you. We're not out of it yet. I guess I'm thinking like, what are invalidations are we looking for our thesis, right? Like what points are we going to say, well, we just got to cut our losses at this point?
Well, yeah, I think we would need to see significant weakness in Bitcoin, or not weakness, but at least like a drop in dominance, but also a drop in price would probably be pretty hyper bearish to me. Like a significant drop in dominance, but like a huge. Now, when I say that, obviously we need dominance to go down for a theoretical alt run, but I'm looking at it from the standpoint of we have like this weird situation where we need Bitcoin to make a leg up, right? We need another leg up. We need more money. We need more momentum. So we need a leg up, but then we need the dominance to go down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the unique situation that we're in.
Yeah. We need Bitcoin to kind of generate, like you said, the momentum, the hype, and then the profits from Bitcoin to roll over into our alternative assets. If such a thing can even happen at this point, which we all pray it will.
It can happen, but it's not going to happen until the macro gets a lot better and some of these things come together.
Well, guys, I'm praying on it. I hope it's going to happen. Turn the printer back on, dude, and get these goddamn Bitcoin whales from selling, dude. Enough of
that was an amazing like segue.
Right? I know it, dude. Now, what do you think? All right, should we get conspiratorial? We'll save it for the next section. Okay, we'll save it for later.
Yeah, because I guess we're a little bit in, and our poor guest is just having to sit there and listen to us rant and rave.
We got a good one here. We've got a very honored guest here. We have Sette here, and they're from Pennysia Labs, the S tier hackathon winner. They won 40,000 in S in October, and their product that they built is a directional liquidity trading platform. Now, what this means is like a prediction market married to an AMM, which allows you to take long and short positions on your LPs, which is super helpful when you have like a market with kind of a directional bias, but you still want to get you want those passive rewards, right? And it's got integrated passive yield with Aave. So we're going to bring him on. We're going to ask him some questions about. So please, everyone, welcome to the stage, Sette from Pennysia. How's it going, Sette?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the intro.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was a great intro.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us, man. We're great. We're happy to have you, dude. Because there were a lot of people asking about the hackathon, like who were the winners, what came out of it. Everyone was super excited to hear. We want to give you like some opportunity to kind of talk about like how's the experience, what's your background. I guess the best place to start, Sette, who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm 24 years old from Thailand. I study computer science here in Bachelor, and actually I'm graduating now. So I competed in hackathon during my last trimester at college. And I was in crypto since 2019, if not early 2020. So I have been at the full cycle before. And turned to DeFi user in 2021. I started to develop something with smart contract and then bring the team of people in university to research some DeFi. And I think we have done over 500 protocols from now till now. Just like the whole cycle started with Uniswap V2, all the forks, all the yield farming, and then Uniswap V3, Cream Finance, but in ETH turned to BSC, turned to Solana, or the game for the DeFi 2.0, Token Max, Olympus DAO, and all the stuff. And then I was just starting AMM mainly, and I tried my best with the team to develop a new version of AMM that we believe superior than all other concentrated liquidity AMM. And then just a week before Sonic announced Hackathon, we were also do some research on Sonic, and I found very interesting. So we joined Hackathon.
Yeah. So I guess in your mind, what are like the current hiccups with most AMM models, and like what are you guys doing different?
For Pennysia, this version, right? So for this version, we focus to be the world first, low risk but high reward. So the questions, I was given a statement by a Chinese guy at DevCon 7, and he told me that if so bullish on this asset, I'm holding it. I'm not gonna do LP, but also I want passive income. So I start thinking about that and to bring this question to the hackathon, and I think there is only one alternative that you can do, which is on balancer. You can provide, instead of 50-50, you go for 80-20 if you're biased toward that asset. And then if you go, let's say 80 Bitcoin, 20 USD, and then your prediction is wrong, and now you're holding just Bitcoin and the Bitcoin price falling down, you have very, very few US dollar, and you have a lot more Bitcoin, which is depreciating. So now you're in the worst position, right? Just a little bit better than 100% in Bitcoin. So my goal is how to allow people to be 50-50 so that principal, the risk profile on their principal is neutral, but they can express their market bias to gain more reward. So protect the principal side, but the upside, we use the prediction market to help earning more yield. So bet on the fee, basically.
Wow. So yeah. So like basically like by going long and short, you're more like neutral. So you're not as worried about your IL and stuff. And then you are still earning fees. And then there's also this prediction market element.
Yeah. So, and all fee auto compounded the fungible token, whether you put money, liquidity on the long or short bucket, you also earn auto compounded fee, RPs, a fungible token. And then we think about the AMM shouldn't be just the place to hold token, right? The AMM is just a swap logic stuff, and the LP. What if we just do accounting on the AMM, but not store the token? So we delegate the token to your Aave. So you can earn a lending fee from our even without trading happen. And then when the trade comes, we pull liquidity from Aave, do some AMM stuff, logic and swap, and then return to Aave. And that brought extra yield safely.
Wow. So it executes all that like while swaps are happening and stuff.
Yes.
Man, that's super impressive. So I'm trying to think. Essentially, it takes kind of like you have like your liquidity, and it has the liquidity earning in like a lending market or whatever. And then as like swaps are happening, it's moving liquidity back. And then when your liquidity is idle, it's basically going back into like earning interest somewhere.
Exactly. 24/7.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that is crazy, man.
So that is another way for increasing capital efficiency without leverage. And I think for long term, like the goal now is like just how to build a next version of Uniswap V2 that just only be better, give more option, but the trade-off and other risk has exactly the same profile as Uniswap V2. That's the goal.
Yeah, I see. Because you're looking at preserving that 50-50 if you can. Or
So I wanted to show here a little bit. I was kind of playing around with the UI a little bit because I kind of wanted to show what it's talking about here. This is making a new pool. I think I just used the assets that were in my wallet. So I just used S and LSD. And you can kind of see like you're choosing your directional bias by like changing kind of the distribution here, right? Am I understanding
Actually,
this
the
correctly?
UI is from the MVP in a hackathon and the production version, which just updated the doc yesterday. So that includes the RV integration and other simplify UX. So now you can see that you provide both sides, the S and another token, right? There's long and short in both sides. But we now just combine the long, let's say long X and short Y the same direction. So we just combine it together and just call it bullish on this token or bullish on another token.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, like, just to make sure, like, I'm kind of understanding correctly. So, what you guys are doing, like, when I say, like, I enter this position, I put in some combination of the ratio of the assets. It's simultaneously placing bets on like a lending or a market directionally, like in exact ratio to kind of what I'm saying. So, like, the actual position I'll say is like, so if I'm bullish on S in this pair, right? I'm putting in like 75S or 75% S, 25% LSD. I'm bullish S. What is the bet that's being placed in the lending market that the LSD will go low? Like, who is like providing liquidity on the lending market? Or is it just the result of these? Oh, okay. I guess you're building the lending market, right, with everyone's expressed preferences. Is that how it works?
No, we are building AMM. The lending part is just we forward all the liquidity to RV. So
I'm sorry, not lending
we
market. The directional part. Like, how does the directional part work?
Okay, the directional part is in the AMM part. So we combine just typical Uniswap V2 AMM and prediction market together. So right now at the step 3 that you're witnessing, it is the step where, let's say you add liquidity. Now you got some liquidity token, and then there are 2 buckets. Whether you're bullish on S or bullish on another token, then you choose how many percentage of this liquidity will go to each bucket.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. So it's an AMM that also functions as a prediction market, like simultaneously. It's not like some outside integration. You're building the prediction market as you're building the LP positions as well. Okay.
Exactly.
Very interesting. Very cool. Trying to think vulnerabilities, Dracula. If you were trying to vamp this, Dracula, what would you do?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I mean, yeah, it's like just highly complex. I guess like I love the kind of like the delta neutral idea behind it, because essentially you're only allowed to take, when you're making liquidity, you're basically taking a bullish directional view on both assets. So yeah, I mean, I would be very curious to like see how different combinations play out in terms of like, oh, like I'm making this position where I think that,
I guess, is this system much more punishing if you're wrong then, right? So like if I'm expressing like a bullish S sentiment, and typically in a typical AMM, I'll just get like, if I'm wrong, I just go all into cash basically if I'm pairing with well, I go into all of whatever the paired asset is, right? But in this scenario, I would be, yeah. So I'd be getting like kind of hammered on the prediction part and the impermanent loss.
I understand what you mean. And that's exactly why I built it like just this. So the core AMM logic is XYK, Uniswap V2. So if you predict wrong side for let's say 10 years, the risk you get is just the risk on Uniswap V2. That's it. So no extra risk, just PLIL as same as Uniswap V2, and the price go back, then everything returns. And I'm saying that it's the same, but actually it's not, right? Because when people trade from this bucket long to another bucket, like people switch buyers all the time, there's trading fees automatically accrue for you. There are lending fees automatically accrue to your position.
Okay. Really cool, dude. Yeah, this is like a really complex system, dude. And it's pretty much live now, you were saying, right? Or you're saying like this is like the MVP?
Yeah, this is working MVP. Actually, it's already, I built it like quite ready for the audit and production. And then when the hackathon winner announcement happened, I talked to the team that, hey, maybe I just want to add some extra features, like build something like that. And then publish the doc, complete all the design, and then, yeah, just as you see from yesterday.
Awesome. Very cool. So are you excited to go like completely live with this bad boy? Like really get some users into this? What's next for you guys?
Right now we are contacting with GMSONIC. So me and the team try our best to focus on the Sonic and especially Sonic team, working with them, get some support exposure. So I build it typically. I think the Sonic it's the best place to build this first because that the technology side it's just very compelling. And then as far as I experienced, I got a lot of great support from the team. Luis from marketing, Sam, even Andre Conche himself. I talked to him. He's been one of the most helpful person. So the next step is to put the code and everything to audit it, and then get some community to acknowledge this product, test it out, and then let's see if we can launch it at the end of the year or maybe in January.
Oh, nice.
Awesome, man. Well, definitely keep us in the loop on that. It's super interesting. And yeah, glad you got to come on today. Congrats on the hackathon. Well deserved from everything I've seen here. Because yeah, this is impressive. And yeah, like I said, man, we'll have to bring you back on when all this new stuff's audited and it's all up and running and everything.
Yeah. Thanks again, Sette, so much, dude. It's really awesome to see people building new and unique stuff, especially young folks, dude. It blew my mind. You said you're 24, right?
Yeah.
You started 29. This guy was 19, dude. He was trading crypto, dude.
Long future ahead of him.
Oh, yeah, man.
Well, yeah. Once again, man, thank you. Stay in touch. And everyone be on the lookout for that. Yeah.
Oh, no. It's awesome having you, Sette. We'll have you back again when you guys are live. Awesome. So next up for us today.
Big news yesterday. Now, I got to clip this somewhere because I discussed my conspiracy theory. That was a few weeks ago. And my conspiracy theory was that CZ was like out of prison. And then he was kind of quiet when he first got out. You know what I mean?
He laid low for a couple months.
Yeah. So he's been out of prison for almost a year now. But it was very quiet at first. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like he's like a maniac. He's just like, there's Aster and meme tokens and like he's shilling stuff and like pumping things and BNBs over $1,000. And I guess it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't remember how long, where I said my theory was that he knows that his status is changing. Because that would be the only reason that he just was kind of like hiding out. And then like all of a sudden it's like he's back.
Yeah. No, like dude, I saw this. I don't know if I sent it to you, but I saw like there's a poly market for would CZ get pardoned in this year. And I was thinking like Drac better have bet on that shit, dude. Cause like you would have made a killing, dude. It was trading at 30 cents. It was trading at 30 cents, dude. You would have made a killing. Because it's like not even like in hindsight, like when you said that, I was like, oh, like obviously. Yeah. And I think they'd announced it before. Like obviously that's what happened. Like, because look, the feds pick you up and they say, don't ever work in finance again, but we're going to let you off. What would you do? The last thing I would ever do is get on X and just start tweeting about fucking tokens, dude.
Start shilling tokens and
You're
projects.
A billionaire already, dude. Like, what are you doing? And so it was like kind of obvious he knew like which way the wind was blowing. But this isn't just us. This isn't just us conspiratorially saying this. Like the Wall Street Journal had some articles about this. The Democrats in Congress have some questions about this. You have this here. Actually, I think it's from the actual conference where they're asking him like, why did you pardon him? And he's just kind of like, he's a good guy. I don't know anything about him. He's a good guy. I don't know what he did even.
Yeah, I mean, the politics are funny because obviously...
That's right, Follow Zone. Also really funny how when $1 billion market like opportunity arises in terms of shorting and scooping assets at a low price, that within a week, Eric Trump saying we made $1 billion, maybe more in crypto, isn't it? Kind of a little rubbing salt in the wounds. Makes me think that they're not so in on it, but I don't know.
Yeah, Trump was just like, I don't know. He's a good guy. He's a great guy. Everybody tells me he's a nice guy. So we dropped everything.
I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of good people.
Yeah.
Again, he does this. It's so funny when Trump does this because he'll like say like, "Oh, I just talked to a great guy, one of the greatest guys." I'm not gonna tell you who it was, but he told me that this guy was good, so I'll do it. it's kind of like when people say like, oh, my friend is having a bit of a problem. Like,
well, yeah. And in that Wall Street Journal article you were referencing, I think that was the article that kind of like, I don't know if it was that one or something else, where they were kind of breaking down the math of Binance accepted this really big USD1 purchase, which
this one here. So the recipe behind, like, so these are kind of connected, that Trump pardons Binance founder. And then obviously the Wall Street Journal kind of asked like, well, why did he do this? Similar to like, remember Ross Ulbricht being pardoned, and also Arthur Hayes was pardoned. Now, to be fair, the thing that they got these guys on was like anti-money laundering stuff, which you can kind of say is they're kind of like almost bullshit charges, right? In that, like, how do I prevent money laundering in crypto, right? Like, especially like with
I think I think like technically it's kind of interesting. So basically, what do you do different in this situation? And I guess maybe somebody here can comment, but the idea was that since you could bypass certain things on Binance with VPNs, that they were like enabling money laundering. And that's literally what the basis of like most of this came from. Now,
I remember covering this now. Yeah. Cause it was like, whether or not like, so like if you have a website and it can be bypassed by the law is obviously in the states something like you have to put forth a good faith effort to try and prevent these practices. So it's like, if someone can bypass your shit with a VPN, that's not necessarily your fault, but it is your fault if like Binance, you have an article telling people how to bypass it with a VPN. Like, that's when it's like, well,
yeah,
you're telling me how to cook the cola, bro. Of course you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, because I think it's an interesting thing because they geo-blocked, you had to KYC. I don't think it was a situation like MEXC where you could have like a minimum account without KYC. I think if I remember clearly, it was basically like once Binance flipped that switch, I mean, you had to KYC if you were out of like the wrong place or whatever, like you just couldn't get in. It's not like a situation where, like I said, MEXC, you could turn on a VPN for another country, and a lot of other countries on there have like, okay, you don't have to KYC if you're withdrawing or depositing like less than a certain amount. So I don't think Binance was like doing any of that workaround stuff to my knowledge. So it makes it interesting that they were kind of like singled out.
I remember there were some additional, I mean, look, this is a Sonic stuff, so we're not going to get too much into it, but I remember there were additional things that were discovered in the process of the investigation of misdeeds happening inside Binance in terms of like, if I remember, it was like kind of like knowingly violating the law, like financial law, and then like trying to delete messages saying that they were doing it, like actively planning to violate, like skirt financial laws and then deleting the evidence. So whether or not you believe these are, what do you call them, moral laws, proper, just laws, or whatever, these guys were caught on things that were against American law, right? And they're being let go. As a crypto guy, I love it because it's like, yeah, you got to cut us a break, new industry, all that stuff. But on the other hand, these guys are doing bad shit, dude. Like they are fucking taking your money basically and manipulating the markets to greater and lesser extents, right? So we could say whether or not that's better for the long run or the short run. But anyway, that's all besides the point. Here's the conspiracy theory, as Wall Street Journal lines it out, the math that Drac was talking about. Binance has been one of the main drivers of the growth of World Liberty's dollar-pegged cryptocurrency, USD1. It delivered World Liberty Financial's first big break this spring when it accepted a $2 billion investment from an outside investor paid in USD1. Binance has also incentivized trading in USD1 across its platforms it controls. World Liberty has said that Zhao was friends with Zach Witkoff, a World Liberty co-founder whose father, Steve Witkoff, is Trump's special envoy, but the venture hasn't struck any business deal with Binance, which to me says like, okay, I mean, maybe they don't have like an official deal, but they got $2 billion in USD1 through some third party, like, and then CZ's getting a part in. Like, let's be real, guys. Like, Do you guys remember? I wasn't like the big thing that CZ bought, Justin's son bought like a fucking insane amount of World Liberty Financial tokens to get a pardon as well.
Yeah, I think that was the idea, but then he was running his staking
then he blacklisted
scam.
his address. Yeah,
he was running his like staking scam to offload tokens because he wasn't allowed to sell or something, and then he got caught and they froze his wallet, and I don't know what happened after that. Or not froze his wallet, but blacklisted his wallet. And
yeah, that's true. Sonic does need a bribery strategist, although we might just get dumped on even harder and worse if that were to happen. But I mean, like, I don't know if we get the CZ deal where you get to pump BNB to 1,000. We would get the Hyperliquid deal where they would run your stops all the way down. You don't get shit.
I mean, I still feel like we could probably get like BitBoy or somebody for pretty cheap, good value. Get him campaigning on behalf of.
We got to be like, look, give up Solana, the Solana Sultan, dude. Like, you're not that anymore. Lawrence of Arabia type shit, dude. It's time to liberate yourself and liberate the people.
But yeah, I mean, that was fun stuff. I mean, honestly, I was kind of, I mean, everybody kind of felt like it might happen, but the fact that it actually did, I'm just like, what a timeline we live in.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I could have sworn there was like a little bit more information on how much money World Liberty Financial is actually making out of this deal, because they're printing like insane with these Binance incentives.
Now, I will say this about Arthur Hayes. Arthur Hayes famously basically didn't set foot like in the US for 10 years or something, had to basically just stay overseas. But essentially, he had the same charges, the anti-money laundering. And it was kind of the same thing with BitMEX, where, I mean, I was like a VPN BitMEX user, where on BitMEX, as long as you use the VPN, you could access like the whole suite, no problem. So I guess there could be a counter argument that they are like saying, okay, anyone that was like they're trying to lay it out there like crypto people are like persecuted, basically. So I guess there could be the counter argument. It could be that they're trying to like clear up what they view as injustices or whatever. But at the end of the day, it probably is like some sketchy backroom kind of stuff. But
yeah, I think like there is something to this idea that crypto people are persecuted, and that it's like, I think we were even talking about this at the time on Block Bites with like Austin and Clay and stuff. This idea that like there does need to be like regulation, man. Like you do need to, like, there is room for law, but it's like, instead of trying to adapt old systems to new ones, to like look at something as it is. Like, I don't know if I'm describing this right. Like leaving your assumptions about previous financial systems and looking at how this new one actually operates and what kinds of protections it actually needs, if that makes sense. So like the way they were doing it under Gensler was just like very aggressive. It was just like, we're just suing people for shit that they don't even necessarily know is illegal. Whereas like what you should do is you should have like talked to like industry leaders and been like, okay, so like what is like bad behavior look like in this industry? If you remember, I talked about this guy sometimes. I think his name is Joe Kennedy, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the Great Depression. He brought him in to create the SEC because back then when these financial markets are new, this guy, Joe Kennedy, was a master manipulator. He invented painting the chart, painting the tickers. He invented pumps and dumps and fucking Ponzi's and all kinds of shit.
He was the original Wintermute.
Dude, he was a god, bro. He was making so much money just manipulating people. And instead of just making up a bunch of laws and throwing them at him, he brought Joe Kennedy into the administration and said, okay, how do you do what you do? And then let's create laws so other people can never do it again.
So win-win for him.
Exactly. If you can't beat him, you hire him. Exactly, Fallout Zone.
Hey, I mean, I like that story because, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, like the Gensler era, people were literally begging, and people were moving out of the country, not just their companies. People were personally moving out of the country because you just didn't know. Like, it was like they were drawing out of a hat.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where people were saying, will you clarify this? Will you clarify that? Will you tell me this or that? And like they would intentionally just kind of like not say anything about like what they think the law really is or like what should be regulated or whatnot. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting strategy, but I think it probably, like you were saying, it would have paid off to probably just like, it'd be like Silence of the Lambs. They'll cart SBF in like on a
Yeah. No,
thing
100%.
and be like, tell us how you did it. Like we're gonna study you.
Yeah, exactly. We need a vivisect SBF, dude. No, but my point is essentially that because like we didn't do that, we have this now where like we have the complete counter reaction, which is just like, fuck it, dude. It's everything is legal, like whatever. And then like that sounds really good for us small fries at first, right? Because I'm worried, like I'm a small fry. If they come up with some really aggressive laws, I'm getting squashed, right? But on the other hand, if there's no laws at all, then we get the president launching a stable coin where he's getting $87 million in fees a year, dude, because he just can use like political levers to get it. I don't know. Maybe that's not criminal. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Yes, he says SBF was more criminal though, right? He ran a legit Ponzi. Yeah, I mean, he will not get a pardon because you look at people like CZ or Arthur Hayes who were more so playing in between the lines and the gray areas. And to an extent, not to an extent, you can say that they realized that too. I mean, at the time, Binance had a infamous legal team. I want to say it was 200 lawyers. So these guys, people like Arthur Hayes and CZ were more like, how can we exploit the wishy-washy gray area? SBF was literally just had billions of everyone's dollars in a personal, basically slush fund, moving it all around however he wants, buying what he wants, selling what he wants. Oh, send that billion to Alameda. Who cares? like, yeah, it was definitely criminal, like huge criminal activity compared to someone like more like a semi whatever business guy, just kind of playing the hand he's dealt.
Yeah, like CZ and Arthur Hayes, and like they're more like they're much more like the kinds of crimes that like Wells Fargo or whatever does than like than SBF. Who SBF is much more like an Enron type thing almost, where it's like, no, like there is actually nothing of value actually here, or like whatever value there is like being completely like destroyed, basically. Like there's no accounting practices, there's no fiduciary responsibility being fulfilled whatsoever. Whereas like Arthur Hayes and CZ are much more like, they're not just stealing your money, they're not just lying to you about it, but they are using their position of privilege and authority in this system, like the amount of wealth that they have access to it's like a casino. Like they're just doing it not to your advantage, as opposed to like just straight up stealing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I honestly, I joke around a lot that they need to let SBF out so we can move some charts, but that has like, I think 0% chance of actually happening. Because like I said, it's very, very different things in my opinion. Now, they did throw the book at SBF. I will say that there are people that have gotten significantly less jail time for also moving around billions of dollars or whatever. They definitely threw the book at him, and maybe that's an angle that can be discussed or whatever. But yeah, there's no way that dude's ever getting a pardon. Yeah,
no way. I don't know what Benny means by the Julian Assange stuff finally finishing. I didn't hear anything new about it, but yeah, the sad thing about the U.S. judicial system right now is it's just kind of like, I mean, I don't want to comment too much on it, but it is like kind of hitting like hammers, but like kind of like out there like crazy. It seems like a lot of things that really are meaningful that don't get solved, they kind of just overreact.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree on the overreach. I mean, like I said, looking at some of these guys like a CZ or an Arthur Hayes, not dummies, consulted legal teams. So these were enterprise. None of these companies were like incorporated in the U.S. in any kind of U.S. jurisdiction intentionally. So I don't even know how now, like, I don't even know how this process works. And maybe someone knows more than I do. But like, for instance, on CZ, it was more of like a cooperation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was more like a come here, pay your fine, do a few months in jail. like then you're not like, we're not like coming after you. So I almost do wonder if it's like, can they actually overreach, or is it more of like you're going to have the US government basically watching you like a hawk trying to get you somehow, or you just take care of this and face the music and get it over with?
Yeah.
Like, could they actually like go snatch him up from somewhere for this? But I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Benny's saying that they dropped the extradition request last year. Julian Assange just basically cut a deal to shut up and they'll stop going after him. Well, rest in peace, Julian Assange. WikiLeaks, that was a crazy moment in history. Probably not going to have another one like it for another good while. So, I mean, hopefully we get one for this kind of stuff. But again, I just wanted to point out, like, this conspiracy theory isn't that crazy. Like I said, the Wall Street Journal was talking about it, which I don't know. Some people would say that mainstream media is all biased, sort of. I would say the Wall Street Journal is probably the most biased towards like economic matters. Like, they don't really seem to do too much political commentary. What was the other thing here about it? I think that was it. Is it like, I think Democrats are pushing back on the pardon. I don't quite mind the pardon. I kind of mind more the obvious quid pro quo around it.
Yeah, I was gonna pull this up with the inflation numbers brought up today. They say the odds of 2 more interest rate cuts in 2025 have now surged to 85% on Polymarket.
Oh wow, yeah. So once a month.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's how the schedule works out. You have 2 more meetings basically. So the question now is more like, are they gonna just do 25 BPS, or are we gonna get a 50 next week?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's really interesting. I think I was looking into like a little bit more of like, I was chatting with ChatGPT the other day about inflation, dude, and I was thinking like because like the rate cuts, the system is a lot more complicated than the rate cuts. Rate cuts don't necessarily translate directly to interest rates moving, like say for mortgages or whatever. A lot of it depends on like the supply and demand, like what people are actually spending the money on that's being borrowed out. Is that actually hitting the economy? But yeah, I mean, I'm banking on this. I'm hoping that these big fat rate cuts are going to get people to want to start spending more.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's even it still has to like rest in the system for a bit before you really start seeing the effects. So
yeah,
even with like 2, I think like if we have guaranteed 2 more by end of the year, you might start seeing some of these effects by end of the year, but it's probably going to be like early next year, spring. I don't know.
The reason we like it in like our speculative markets is like because the news of it is like enough to cause action immediately in the market.
Yes.
But like there's like an interesting component of markets to always keep in mind is like there's like the psychological aspect of it, and then like the actual reality aspect of it.
Yes.
Like
exactly.
Sure, the price of oil is fluctuating based off of like some psychological components of what people expect to happen. But there's also the realistic component of like how much oil is actually being produced, like where is it at in the world, that kind of thing, right? Similar with like the money stuff, where it's like this money is going to come into the system, but like until it starts hitting people's bank accounts in some kind of way, like either through raises or loans, like increased debt issuance, like we're not going to see it in the market. So it's going to be interesting to see where the money goes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're about out of time here today.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any hopium we can give, Drac? We got any hopium, any alpha we can give right now? Any peeks behind the curtains we can give to people? Flying Tulip stuff's constantly dropping.
Yeah, I mean Flying Tulip is warming up, getting closer. Basically, you're just seeing a lot of like the groundwork's being laid. Expect some statements here in the next week or so, kind of like laying out what's going on. So yeah, there'll be more things we can talk about very soon.
Hell yeah, I'm stoked because we're in Dogbone Village right now. I think we all feel it now. But yeah, thanks folks for tuning in. Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Fallout Zone. Hey, Fallout Zone, I think it was you that recommended this. I got the book. What is it? Confessions of an Economic Hitman. I'll be reading that.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I might do one of those like video reviews of it. That might be fun once I finish it.
Corval's Cozy Corner book reviews.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Wait for it.
Exactly. Actually, Actually, I've got a really great area I could set up for recording this. I think this is a good idea. All right.
Yeah.
But stay tuned, folks. We'll get to that.
Yes. We'll see you next week. Hang in there. I think, next week should be a good week for the market, I hope. We should have some good news. We should have some good news. Please.
Oh, yeah. All right, folks. Till next time. Adios.
See ya.
GMSONIC is Corval, Drac, and Mew Mew.